Let me introduce myself. My name is I'm founder and director of MBA Strategy, and today we decided to make a little bit new, a little bit different format of event that possibly you never see on such events and fairs. Many business schools told us that there is a big gap between, maybe not big, but gap between understanding needs of real business, real corporate sector, and what business school can propose and offer to real business. So we decided just to make this discussion and raise some questions that possibly could help for business school we have here. I will introduce everyone to understand better what should be their go-to-market strategy in Russia. We are talking mostly about Russia. And the second question, what corporate sector can make or help, in what way corporate sector and real business can help to schools understand better and how to tune MBA programs for needs of real business in Russia. So this is a main idea. You're very welcome to share any opinion you have. We have a recording, but don't worry. It's not for the first channel. So welcome. Maybe we will talk about this. So you're very welcome to share your opinion, to review, to raise any issues. We will have slight moderation, but only for timing reason, but not for stopping you sharing your opinion. So if you don't have any question regarding format, we can start. First of all, I just would like to introduce one very important notice. May I ask you to turn off your cell phone because it will harm recording and we'll have some distractions for recording equipment, so I really appreciate if you can do this. Okay. I just would like to introduce who is presented here and what was our idea, how we decided to invite you and with what way we did it. First of all, we invited several top business schools just as a main player on the MBA market. And we have here Irina Polomeva, a representative of EA Business School, Spain, if someone don't know. Daria Zarubina, Duke Business School. To be clear and exact, Duke University, the Fuqua School of Business, right? We have Daria Brodnikovskaya, representative of Skolkovo, and may I ask you to introduce yourself? Anna Nekrasova from Skolkovo. We feel that Skolkovo is like a key player in Russia, should be here also because your opinion is also valuable for Russian people. We have James Becker. Thank you for your coming to Russia. I know that you have long flight. Cambridge Judge Business School. Nicholas Dumas, Boston Consulting Group. So we are now talking about corporate sector, about business, and Nicholas represented Boston Consulting Group. I introduced myself. We have also experts who can share some inside facts, ideas, share some polls of candidates. And Marina Khadina is a representative of HR.ru. I think you know this portal, HH.ru. And we have Sergey Gladko. This is my friend, and this Sergey worked in this sector maybe for, I don't know, 10 years in MBA preparation, MBA consulting, so Sergey has very good insight in the industry. Should I use it? Yes. Okay. And Mikhail Yurchenko from INSEAD, he's coming. I think he should be here in several minutes. We also have a representative of Harvard Business School, possibly, first of all, Murat Safizadeh will join us, and also Vadim Karsunsky is here. And we have Vera Kozdukova, Boston Consulting Group, Artyom Avdeyev, Egon Zenker International, right?
No, you should know how to pronounce it.
I will be trying.
During the topic, you should.
Okay, and Artyom representing executive search company, right? Am I clear? And Vladislav Makarenko represents pharmaceutical industry, and to be specific, Boehringer Ingelheim, and he's HR director of the company. So we have different sectors, different opinions. So let's start. Okay. This is a list, very short list of some questions that possibly we can discuss. The first, in my personal opinion, please tell me if I'm wrong. The first question that we always hear and heard many times from a real sector. Mikhail, I ask you to. This is your place. As I told you, Mikhail Dushenko representing Seattle Business School. So the first question that I want to hear your opinion, ask you to share, what is the general expectations of let's say, pharmaceutical companies, consulting companies, in sense of knowledge, skill, experience, maybe level of ambitions, when you recruiting MBA candidates. So this is the first issue. So what are you waiting for when you are doing recruiting from different business schools, on campus, off campus? This is the first issue, first question. Does anybody want to join discussion? Okay.
Yeah, I can start. I think for us, as a consulting company working for clients in the business and solving business problems, what we expect from people coming from business school is first to have very good business judgment. And I think what we expect from them since at business school, they learn I would say the basics of business in all the different areas, from marketing, strategy, corporate finance, and everything. They should have this very solid basis of knowledge to be able to address any potential business issue. And so the first thing is that, to have this sound business knowledge, which we would not expect from our junior candidates at lower position. Then there's some requirements that we have that are the same for all positions, like very good analytical skills, very good structure, but that I would say would be the same for all the candidates. That's really what the greatest, what business school really provides compared to other profiles for this business judgment.
So do you think that business school that presented here, or maybe is not presented here, give you the right profile of candidates, or you see any, let's say, misunderstanding of profile?
No, absolutely not. I think the business schools represented here are exactly the ones who we hire from.
Okay, any other opinion regarding
just to this, in addition to business, business judgment, we also expect a certain level of maturity from those who come from MBA schools. And this comes with the fact that people join BCG as consultants. Consultants within a consulting firm is already high position. It's an individual contributor position, but still you're expected to do a lot on your own, and you're expected to communicate with clients professionally, independently, and with a certain level of maturity. And here we're seeing a different picture. So sometimes our expectations or the result we get is below our expectations when we go to campuses.
Okay. But I heard, for example, opinion, especially regarding Harvard Business School, that Harvard, let's say, inviting to start in Harvard Business School candidates who are not very mature, because it's easy to change them to add leadership, and later they will be a little bit more flexible than candidates with, let's say, 10-year experience. So, what do you think about this?
I think what's fair to say is that having an entering class each year of 900 people, what Harvard does is try to capture all of the areas. Yes, it's true that in the past, Harvard tried to stay away from people with 1 or 2 years of experience and bring in people with more years of experience, because they do bring more value in the case study method in the discussions. However, there's been a shift in the last 5 years to bring in more young entrepreneurs because this will give them more years ahead to realize if they start early in the business school, they're going to have more years to realize their career. So the challenge, of course, for Harvard is, as a result, is to spot those bright stars early and not to make a mistake. And I'd say it's been successful so far. And the candidates coming out that I've met, I graduated 10 years ago, but more recent candidates generally keep the school's profile and the rank that you expect.
Okay. If we are talking not about consulting, let's say about pharmaceutical industry, what is the situation? Or do you prefer to invite or to see, to recruit someone, let's say, with a 3-5 year experience, or more mature candidates? What is going on outside of consulting?
Well, it depends on what we're looking for. I mean, sometimes you want to get younger people to then be able to mold them and shape them into the mentality and the values and the way of thinking, the way of doing business that you need for your company. I'm recently in pharmaceuticals, so just under 1 year. Previously, I was in FMCG, and we used to do a lot of management trainee recruitment, which then we would roll out a 2-year program in which there would be elements of training and elements of cross-functional experience, elements of international assignments, and those in a way provided quite a few of the ingredients of being open-minded, experience, sort of geopolitically aware of other countries, etc., that pretty much enabled us to have the right caliber of people stepping into junior management roles. Now, when I recruit people, I never look for an MBA on the CV. If it's there, I want to understand the reason why that specific candidate got themselves into an MBA, say at the age of 23, and because I personally don't see much need in that, unless there's a good need, right? So for what I'm dealing with, I'd much rather have people study, get their higher degree, than do 5, 6, whatever years of experience in the real world, so to say, and then potentially go into an MBA with a clear mind and clear understanding why they're doing. Or at that point in time, do 10 years and then do an EMBA. Yeah. So that would be my approach.
Any other comments about this point? Okay, I have a general statistics from well-known organization GMAT, and this is official. Maybe someone don't know. This is a provider of GMAT, and GMAT told us that in 2010-2011, companies expect, let's say, to the end of 2011, companies expect to see. Let's count together, 16 plus 17, about 55 or 60% of people in the range from 3 to 5 years. So it means it's not very mature people, right? 3 to 5, it's like in the middle. So this is a tendency, or it's just maybe it's an answer for the crisis that happened in 2008. That candidates with 10-year experience will be much more costly. He or she asks more salary. So what do you think? Why there is a change to more young candidates based on statistics we have?
Where was statistics taken? Is it international?
Yep, it's international. The full picture.
Because if we think about the United States, the average years before the business school is 4 to 5 years. It's been like this for a number of years. So if, let's say, US has half of the answers that were yes, here's your answer. It's just normal what MBA graduates who come out of American business schools, they do have indeed 4 to 5 years of experience. And then the traditional, let's say, consulting companies or investment banks that generally hire most MBAs, they would exactly get this type of experience. if we look to Europe and maybe take NCF, then I'm not the best person to talk about NCF, but we know that in Europe people tend to have more years of experience, so that's your other part. So to me, it represents a, I'm not sure I see the shift. If you have the same survey a few years back, maybe you would comment on this, but it represents a fairly, to me.
So for Harvard, it's like an average
4 to 5. So that's exactly. For NCF, I'm sure it's more. For Skolkovo, I have no idea. So
may I ask you schools to share opinion regarding your, let's say, average experience before crisis and after? Something changed, or what is going on right now?
Yeah, before Skolkovo, it's hard to say very distinct what was before crisis and after crisis, since we only have like 3 intakes starting back in 2009. But in general, if you look at our current MBA students, most of them have about 5 years of experience when they enter the school, and the average age is around 29 years old. But it also depends on the personality. Someone needs MBA a bit earlier, and there are people who come to the stage a bit later, like when they're 32, for example. So it really depends on the person, I believe so.
Historical year.
I would comment about Russian and Ukrainian market. Usually the candidates that come from this part of the world are on the other side. I would say with experience from 5 to 7 years, kind of from more senior positions for several reasons, because there are no credits available in the country, and you have to have some savings in order to be able to afford this education. So what we see, speaking about our region, is that the profile usually is above average, and people coming from more senior positions with more than 5 years experience, usually.
Okay, so it seems like the picture is somewhat the same. And I also found some interesting statistics just to share with you. It was also GMAC report and some other organizations that have hiring outcomes and projection in 2011 for 2011. And what I noticed that total percent. So every company was asked, what do you expect, from what type of program do you expect to invite more to your company? And it seems like MBA a little bit decreased, but some master's programs, especially master in management, increased. So I think it's like a sign of step forward to more young candidates, right?
Is that the first job you're talking about?
It's not the first job. The question was, yeah.
When everyone's hiring continuously on different levels of seniority, putting it all together in one graph might just not be reflective of specific needs, right? Sorry, that's the question.
Okay.
I think I wanted to add that, coming back to the previous questions on kind of the ranges of experiences that candidates are applying to MBA, what I see, at least at Duke and in other peers in the United States, that business schools tend to accept now candidates with much more diverse backgrounds. So as an opposite to the graph that we saw, I see less consolidation and more of different backgrounds and spreads of experiences. At Duke, our average age is about 29-30, which is slightly older than on average in our top 10 group. So I would say that it also would be kind of my question in return to recruiters, because sometimes we see that recruiters do not always come to us prepared to see very different candidates with very different experiences. And if we say, okay, on average we have 5 years of work experience, but it means that you will find perfect candidates with 3 years of work experience ready for different sorts of management training programs. But on the other hand, you will find candidates with about 7 to 8 years of work experience who will not be interested in management training program and will need slightly different offers from recruiters. So that's kind of maybe my friends from other business schools would comment, but that would probably be our question to recruiters. Are you ready to come, and do you have the understanding that we also offer quite a diverse pool of candidates, not only within not only across different programs, but also within one full-time MBA program.
Dear recruiters, what will be your answer?
Maybe I can start. Recruiters would work together with the actual people who are looking for the candidates, right? So I mean, sorry, what's your name? Okay. So if Artyom and I got together and I said, well, I need a head of sales in my organization, right? And I would say, and it definitely has to be an MBA graduate. And I guess he would say, well, okay, let me see how I can get an MBA graduate. If you need them, if you're willing to sort of overpay for the actual line on the CV, if that is going to give you any value. Otherwise, I will say, well, actually, MBA doesn't give any difference to me whatsoever. Just give me an experienced person across at least 2 markets. So I don't want just a Russian experience. I want Russian and Slovakia or whatever. That's it. So would that how it work?
The question was about diversity, and I think the topic is too early for Russia. It's more about impact and business content than diversity in the American sense. I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but I think this is just too premature for this market yet. So this is changing. And maybe stepping back a little bit, I'm here actually in 2 positives. First of all, we do have clients hire people, usually with 10 years of experience post-MBA, so I'm not too sure I can share with you fresh experience or freshly. But an MBA is something you should feel without seeing it on the paper. It adds maturity, as colleagues have said, it sort of broadens people's horizon, and as somebody who graduated at the age of 23, which was many years ago, I can share my own experience of missing it, by doing it too early. Doing it too early, like some of you guys said, is probably not too beneficial. On the other hand, when we hire for Evansender, for consultants, we only hire people with MBAs. And this is a must in our culture, because we do see this as an easy shortcut to get into a crowd of people who have broader horizons, and who are probably more cross-cultural, more cross-industrial, and more flexible, with tons of exceptions, of course. Coming back to your question about diversity, I don't think this is what we do feel from American corporations, for instance, where they have a woman desire, we need a female candidate. This we start to feel, but this is driven by the headquarters rather than by any profound local demand. Probably.
Okay, thank you. Great. It seems like we just a little bit we're touching a little bit this topic, and I think one more interesting question that I heard many times: what business school, especially in situation when new business school, or let's say United States business school, who didn't have any strong presence here and just doing the promotion here, what business school, especially top business school, need to have in their curriculum, in their, let's say, experience that not experience, but knowledge that school can give to candidates. Something else, what school need to have to be successful in Russian market? Because many Western business school and Asian business school just think that on this highly competitive market you just need to be here and it's enough. We heard it because we work with many of them, and sometimes they fail. I'm very happy that all schools we have here, they're quite successful in Russia, but possibly recruiters and representatives of real business can tell us more. What do you expect from business school that are working in Russia, or let's say doing presentation here and working with Russian market? So what are you expecting from business school in sense of candidates and so on?
I think that's a good question, because what we see from the candidates we hire, sometimes we hire people from business school or other backgrounds who are very smart people, who have been very successful in the past, and in consulting sometimes that just doesn't work because they have some skills missing. And what we see, which is the most difficult to find in Russian candidates in here is people who, in terms of being very analytical, conceptual, have good practicality, are able to plan one step ahead, work independently and being like very self-driven. We have lots of very smart people who are a bit too, I would say, lacking this practicality, a bit too conceptual, a bit too, I would say, that a bit expect to be managed too closely. And this is something that at Boston Consulting Group we don't necessarily see in other countries. I think it's really a Russian specificity. And I'm not sure it's something you really learn at business school, or maybe not enough.
Too much with business school.
Yeah.
But let's say if, I don't know, business school A are coming here and want to have a lot of clients here, they should add some, at least course, how to run business in Russia. Do you think it's important for you?
I think that's a very, very broad question, how to run business in Russia, so I'm not sure it's really easy to develop a course on that.
But so, do they need to make some tuning of their course, or maybe some additions or electives or something like this?
I mean, that's more a question for business school actually. They can really customize their program for different profiles of students.
Well, let me ask from different side. For example, if Irina wants to have more clients, more students that will be applying to EA Business School, and you want to have stronger candidates, what should EA do?
Yes.
Just to be more successful than right now? What you can ask, let's say, ES, Skolkovo, Duke, Cambridge?
So exactly what I was saying just before, asking to include something in the program to make sure to develop this practicality, to develop this the independence of the students, to be able to manage their work themselves and being able to plan ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, as far as having courses on doing business in Russia, there are courses on doing business in Asia, in India, there are courses on doing business in other places. So I think this would definitely be an asset, having a course like that. And from what I see so far, a major shortcoming of people at middle levels is the ability to execute. Even when they come from top companies, they can come up with brilliant slides, they can come up with excellent ideas. But I'm in a business venture at the moment, and this is the major thing that I can getting things done versus conceptualizing, putting it on paper, and handing it to somebody else to do. So actually, this is an interesting question that kind of wraps up everything else that we discussed today, right? What I would be looking for from MBA candidates that would be very interesting to practical business would be an ability to execute that would come from MBA being a life-changing event to that. Somebody who has maybe 5, 6, 4, even 3 years of functional experience would bring functional knowledge, domain knowledge, and wrap it all up in the MBA and move on to leadership, move on to running the company, running the department, getting the results. So going back to the question, yes, something like doing business in Russia would be definitely beneficial because Russia is different from any country in the world, different from China, different from Asia, definitely different from America. But bringing this Western experience, Western way of doing things, wrapping it up into Russian mindset, and bringing change to the Russian business world would be very, very interesting.
And one more interesting question I heard many times and specifically discussed today, it's ambitious or over-ambitious candidates that sometimes can come from different business schools. The first question for you and the representative of real sector, what you call over-ambitious and how you can maybe help business school to change the situation? Because let's say, let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with a HR director of a big industrial group who hiring a lot of MBA, and they say that one of the biggest problems we have, it's not a lack of candidates, it's a candidates with over expectations from this work. So so my question, what do you think, what you call over ambitious candidate, and how you can assist business school, maybe change something, I don't know, to introduce one more course, or just
how to be less ambitious.
I think, do you understand what I'm talking about?
No, I think the ambitious is good.
Over ambitious.
But it's not the problem. I think the problem is in the expectations of MBA graduates. They come in to do real work, and they've been told they are the kings of this world for the past 2 years. They come in and they need to do real work, and the real world falls on them. And it's just, and the company is upset, the MBA graduate is upset because it's just, it's not a good match for some reasons. And I think people do not really are not always ready for hard work, even after MBA.
Okay. Do you have any feedback form that you can give to business school just to say, guys, 80% of the candidates is...
I think 80 would be exaggeration. I think we see a few examples like this, and it just, the examples are too strong, and then it just becomes a generalization. But I don't know. It's a question to business schools. How do they bring people up like this? What's there?
Yes, thank you very much. So, as Dmitry said, I've been working with admission side for 10 years. In this case, I was able to see the various tendencies on this market, and to be honest, I can say with good reason that the general tendency to be more ambitious has changed radically in the last 2 years. And I know that many candidates, now try to be less ambitious, and they understand that the Russian market is very specific. In this case, sometimes they hire the education than to show it off. And to be honest, I think that this tendency will go on. For example, just to give one small example, this year I recommended to one of my former clients to hide their MBA education and their essays. And actually, I don't know this or that contributed to their finding normal job. As for the general recommendations to school, while I was preparing for this meeting, I browsing the internet, and today, in Kazakhstan, there was a very interesting discussion about the new coming crisis, and there was one quotation from it. It's a long discussion, and people were discussing various issues concerning the possibilities of a new economic collapse. And so they say, okay, and everything will be attributed to the Carvels. Well, Jerome Carvel is a notorious person. And they answer one person, the Carvels are necessary, or else it will be impossible to hide the miserable nature of one-dimensional MBA education. So in this case, this is the answer, I think, to the question, what the schools might change. They don't need to change their courses and to take into consideration the peculiarities of the Russian market. They must change their attitudes towards upbringing of these new professionals in general. So the schools, I think, now are changing, but unfortunately these changes are very slow. And in this case, I think that the employers and people who are working in HR, so they remain on the same positions. They are rather skeptical about MBA candidates, and they try to assess them maybe more thoroughly than general candidates. But on the other hand, the candidates become less over-ambitious, and that's a big plus.
May I jump in? Yep. Certainly view, and if that comes from your reality, that's reality. But that also tells you a lot about your practice, right? Because hiding an MBA from a curriculum tells you a lot about, I think, the individuals who do it, which is also the might take place. I think we need to, well, we don't need to, but we might want to de-dramatize a little bit an MBA. This is just a 1 or 2 years thing. And we're talking about people 25, 30, they've probably done something before an MBA and maybe even after an MBA. And you take, for instance, for us, we have, just to give you an example, we have a fantastic group of brilliant people who did Bombs Kings. They tend to be very hardworking, and you probably can rely on them being really serious about what they do. They extremely high IQ, but they benefit from MBAs tremendously because that sort of drags them away from numbers, from 1-0 type of mentality into the broader world. On the other hand, you have people who've done literature, who've done history, and they would take from an MBA maybe the opposite. They would take a more disciplined, rigor, number-focused. So I believe MBA schools have changed nothing. It's because that's not how you make stars. It's just a tool which people use according to their luck, personal maturity, and judgment.
I have to agree with Artyom. Just listening to various times Sergei and Artyom, I have to agree with Artyom the most because thinking about myself 10 years ago, yes, a number of people came out what you would call over-ambitious, but MBA for me and for many of my classmates was a life-changing experience. You were doing one thing and then suddenly the doors open up and you fly. If you, at that point, sort of clip your wings, you're not going to fly that far. Then what did you go to MBA to get the MBA for? So my point is, I'd rather go up high and get burned, fall a bit, and then go up high. Yeah. So, and even in consulting, where that was my first job in a consulting company. Yeah, it was a great time. Yes, I learned my lessons. Yes, I came in, I was over-ambitious. But then, I switched to industry, and I've been working in retail for the last 7 years, very successfully in 14 different countries. And the fact that I started that sharp probably helped me for all the years to come. So I fully agree that MBA schools shouldn't change anything in the terms of getting people sort of keen to achieve a lot. Yes, I agree that maybe recruiters are cautious about MBAs. They think they're over-ambitious, but that hasn't stopped a single recruiter to hire an MBA. Yeah, they say, oh, this person might have an issue. But that's the reality. If you want to start, you're going to have to deal with their other consequences like being ambitious. So that would be sort of my sum to this.
I think you created a very good year when recruitment was up, right? 2001.
Well,
after .com.
Why don't I say this? Yes, when recruiting started well, as soon as I started my job, 9/11 kicked in. Yeah, and salaries got up. Half of my classmates lost their jobs. Some consulting companies didn't even let booze. I remember hire people and delay them by a year. So it's questionable. First 2 years were a real roller coaster because it was 9/11 when I started. Not sure.
And one small, little bit offside question. Do you think in Russian reality, MBA in your resume, especially in difficult years when economy suffering a little bit, MBA will be a plus to stay in the company, or it will be like, oh, it's too expensive guy for us, so it's the general question.
I'd like to answer this. I think we like, maybe some people will disagree with me here, but I have a lot of people working on my team, and I have to say that we're lacking experience. Yeah? We're lacking professional knowledge, we're lacking understanding of business in the global sense of it, in Russia, in general, in people I see. And so, to me, I'd rather pay a little more, but have the candidates that can make a difference to me, than have mediocre people who are by default will be just watching the clock, waiting for a lot of instructions, like you described. And so that would be my comment. I'll have 2 people instead of 10.
Okay, great.
Right, I completely agree with this statement because ultimately every employee has the value that comes out and the value that he or she brings in. And if a person already works for the company, I know what he's bringing in and what he's costing me. So it doesn't matter if he has a lead or not, if he can execute, if he can get results, if he can get things done, he stays or she. Otherwise, crisis comes, they'll get really out.
Okay, and we have some very interesting reports that Headhunter HH.ru made specifically to study this topic, and I will ask Marina to share with us this information. So let me.
Well, I can add some numbers to this point of view. about the employers who did hire during the crisis candidates with MBA diploma. They like people with MBA. In vacancies they mentioned that they like to hire them. Well, and in the vacancies they are ready to offer them big salary, bigger than usual candidates. So I think that these are the main points of my statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that during the crisis, there were a lot of vacancies for candidates with MBA, and that there is stable increasing the dynamics of such vacancies at our portal. But of course, the main part of the vacancies for middle management vacancies, middle management personnel. So we are speaking not about top management personnel, but about middle management. And it is interesting that if we compare the level of experience the requirements for candidates, we can say that employers like to see not only MBA diploma in the CV, they would like to see an interesting experience with minimum 3-6 years of experience in business. So we can return to your slide with statistics of experience to candidates. It is matched with our statistics. If we can see at 9th slide.
Okay.
Yes. It is quite interesting because for middle management and for general management positions, the experience from 3-6 years is okay. And if we're speaking about the candidates with a MBA diploma, employers prefer to see more experience, of course, and it is matched with your statistics. If I'm not mistaken, from 10 years, yes, it was a great increase.
Yeah.
So for top management position, of course, employers like to see more mature personality with more mature experience. So that's it.
Okay. Any other?
We have, I can comment these slides a little bit. We asked people what the reasons they do not start MBA, and the most popular reasons are lack of money and lack of time. That's why last time little problems, not the whole MBA models are more popular. So the programs with practical cases half a year or during the year are more interesting for candidates. So they would like to compare education with their job. So they would like to follow with their job and to learn to get additional education. So they do not like to stop their job and to get education. They would like to do it simultaneously.
We're verifying that many people want to study, but the main distraction or objection not to study cost. But so people want to study at top business school, but not so many ready to pay tickets.
Yes, I think that it's because of the audience of our portal. It is mass market. It is middle management. So if you are speaking about the top managers, more mature persons, I think that they will understand why pay more? Why should they pay more time for this? So I think it's because of this.
Okay. And in case of business school, did you notice any change in demand for some specific program you may have? For example, one part of your programs decreased and another increased, especially after crisis. Nothing specific changed.
Well, I would say that it's, I'm mostly fascinated with the number 2 criteria here about I couldn't find free time, and this is something that I actually hear a lot from candidates. When, especially in Russia, in some industries, candidates are growing really fast, and it's not like I don't have free time because I have hobbies or some other stuff too, but it's more about, I cannot find time because my industry is growing very fast, and if I'm leaving for 2 years, then it means that I'm losing a lot of opportunities here. And that's why a lot of business schools, including several sitting here on this table, develop a special type of flexible or different blended formats for candidates who want to combine their work and study, and that's how they can continue to gain their income, to keep up with their industry, and still get an MBA. There are a lot of benefits to it, there are a lot of concerns as well that candidates typically have, but I think business schools are trying to adjust, and coming back to the question of what business schools do, should they change or should not, I think I see a smile Irina's face at least, because all of us who work with business schools know that we're changing constantly, we're constantly in discussions with the business, with our candidates, with our academic and corporate partners, trying to see how we can better serve the needs of our different stakeholders, and that's why we're constantly changing, constantly adjusting. We're pretty much in every business school you will see now that we are trying to educate responsible leaders. Responsible leadership is a big topic for everybody, including Duke. We try to create leaders that can manage across the globe with different international locations, have expertise in doing business, and hopefully have a little bit not less ambitious, but appropriate amount of ambition on their end, and maybe also for the same sector that we used to serve in the past. We have our candidates working for BCG, happy, I know. So it means that still they have the appropriate level of expectations. But I guess it's a broader topic, and in terms of really how we change, and if the change is an adequate response to what our different partners need from us. And I think the roundtable discussions are one of the many examples of how we.
It seems like after every crisis, business school changes something. After Enron, new ERIC course. After, let's say, 2008 crisis, how to survive in this fastly changing environment. And I don't know what will be the next course.
But we also change after situations like oil issue in the Mexican Gulf, and what managerial aspects led, and how business schools, to what extent we should take credit for educating managers who make certain decisions, and to what extent this is actually not our responsibility, because as Arsen said, we're only 2 years. We try to do a lot in these 2 years, but there are also a lot before and after that. I think the main goal of every business school is we want to make sure that a candidate is not equal to himself or herself in the beginning. So after these 2 years, you're a completely different person, and this transformation, for this we should take credit. Definitely we are responsible for that and trying to grow that.
And last question I just want to raise, I don't know, maybe it's a question, maybe it's just my imagination. Do you have, I'm addressing my question to business school, do you have any question or issue to discuss to real sector? Maybe they need to change something in their recruiting process, or I don't know, their expectations, or do you see anything to advise them to change?
Well, I might speak as a recent IE graduate. When I was looking for a job, all the offers, all the requirements kind of seemed the same. All the companies promise you challenging job, you will be challenged every day. So maybe you wait, and every company was like that. Maybe better positioning in terms of HR, how you're different from another school or from another company, what you have to offer that is different. Especially, I think it's important for Generation Y, that is very different from us, that we still have to learn how to manage them. And maybe when we see that the company was challenging, then maybe you get a person that comes a little bit, too ambitious. Maybe they're not that tough in their reality, but they want to look as if they're ready to be challenged every day.
And change the role, change the plan.
Yeah, this kind of stuff. Every company wants that. And then you're given very, very mediocre tasks. Like, really the companies now, because there are so many candidates to choose, it looks like they're about to, they're looking for a spaceman or a spacewoman. And then you come to marketing, like my background is in marketing, like you have those assessments, 2-day assessments, it looks very tough. But then when you get your task, you're like, what? I think that the selection process is very, very costly, and it looks like another application for an MBA. The number of questions, the number of essays that you have to do every time. So maybe you could look at how you position yourself, and that would serve as a good way to sort out the candidates that you don't want in the first place.
In my experience, that's where the true HR business partnering comes in as well. In that the business partners will want the top of the class with 3 degrees and everything and 50 years of experience. And then when you come and discuss with them to understand why they need that, they pretty much will say, well, and what about if in 3 years' time a situation arises and I may need that kind of expertise? And the point is that lots of time after a discussion, I'm sure all of us have those experiences, you sit down and say, well, actually, some of those things you can train on the job. So if we go and scale down the requirements, A will find you a candidate sooner, they will cost less, and then you can get on with them and do what you need to do. So there's an element of that as well. Okay, and maybe you were just too good and whatever people were offering was just mediocre for you, and for other people it was challenging. How's that?
No, I'm just talking about if you get the book where employers advertise their positions, basically the message
will be the same.
The same.
But I mean, otherwise, how would anyone want to work for me if I'm not advertising myself nicely?
Well, there are interesting data. We have 3 offices in India, and India seems to be like a very sexy place now, with some interesting practices. So one of the colleagues was sharing an experience that he discussed with the HR of Tata, the big Indian company. So what those guys did is that they kept data, which Indians are very good for a number of years, and they just took the assessment, the annual assessments of their youngest hired people. And it turns out that 1 or 2 schools, people from those schools, would tend to show better results. So what they did is that they basically, currently that's ongoing, they do it now. They do invest in those 2 schools. They sort of invest in curriculum rather early in their life, student life. But also they make offers to everyone. Everyone who's graduating from school A. Why? Because the more junior is the recruitment, the more mechanical it tends to be. And that's just life. The more senior is the recruitment, the less mechanical, supposedly, it should be, or less relying on formal expectations and more on skills. So we in our practice are always amazed, and continue to be amazed, how different corporations, and not depending on size or industry or nationality, approach the very sort of human capital issue, with some being extremely mechanical and some being too picky. Like an example, I have a very nice client, fantastic guy, entrepreneur, $1 billion plus, and he's so picky about his even middle management that we will not work for him, because he will continue to look in this 24-year-old, 25-year-old, like, somebody who would be equal to his 60 years old maturity character. And I'll never tell this to this guy because he'll be offended, but that's the other extreme of being too selective. Sorry, just a few thoughts.
Yeah, I think I heard a lot of about let's say joint programs that some corporations can do together with business schools just to tune curriculum more a little bit better, just to have better candidates when they graduate. So I think it could be a good tendency for the next 5-10 years. Agree? Okay. Okay, let's look at this question. This was like a statement. It was a question. Okay, it seems like we of course we cannot discuss everything, but I think that there is some points that possibly you can continue to discuss and just share your cards. And it seems like there are a lot of questions that you can discuss personally, and it seems like such meetings possibly at least one a year could help recruiters better understand their clients, and business school better understand corporations, and to make program more efficient, more effective, and for business school to have better product, for recruiters to have better employee, right? I want to thank you for this discussion. We will make a recording of this in program, and we will show you. Just maybe you have some other comments. So thank you for your time. I hope it was effective for you, and I hope you will have some, at least small improvement after this discussion in your programs, in your recruiting. So thank you very much, and wish you good luck in your business. Thank you very much.
Банкет будет сегодня?
Теперь у нас начинается основная и последняя часть на сегодня, поэтому